Hi everyone, I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Anonymous. Here's her story. Hi Ollie, so this is going to be a typical update that you've probably gotten 100 times since Mother's Day. But if we don't let others know they aren't alone, then the epidemic of narcissistic abuse goes on in silence. As you said before, it is getting everything out in the open and discussing it that people can learn and grow and heal. My problem is my in-laws. My father-in-law is a drunken, overt narc. My mother-in-law is a victim and a feeble old lady type of covert narc. They raised 3 kids. The oldest, the overachiever, is a whiny, entitled bitch. My husband is in the middle as the empathetic peacemaker, and my brother-in-law is the drunken, womanizing, fuck-off underachiever who has been groomed to be an overt narc like his father. My in-laws' favorite device is the silent treatment as punishment for having independent thoughts and actions. They also love to triangulate the 3 siblings, fostering a lifetime of sibling rivalry and hatred. Their third favorite device is the smear campaign, which they've used with great success against my husband, the scapegoat, and I and our children, who are the only grandchildren in the family. God help the world if the sister and or brother ever procreate. But then they'd have to share what little conditional and inconsistent attention they get from their parents. And they're surely not eager to do that. These horrible people have pulled some pretty cruel shit out of their asses over the years. Far too much to go into one email. I'll just include the most recent bullshit to lead up to Mother's Day weekend. So we sold off most of our possessions, including our home, and moved closer to the narcs under the very mistaken theory that perhaps if they just got to know us better, maybe we could cobble up some kind of family relationship together. Are you insane? Yeah, we now know that was a huge mistake, but I suppose we always would have wondered if we didn't at least try. Better not knowing. It was clear from the moment we got off the plane that they didn't want us there. They not only saw us as an inconvenience, but saw us as a threat to their domination over their greater circle of friends and family. It's silly, right? I mean, we didn't come to conquer the family and unseat them. We came to join the greater circle of family and friends. We wanted to join our children to have good memories of growing up around their grandparents and aunts, uncles, and cousins. What we stepped into, however, was a pre-prepped group of people that had been fed a bunch of bullshit about how we're horrible people. We couldn't figure out why people were avoiding us. I mean, why would a loving family completely reject us for no good reason? On top of the smear campaign against us, the in-laws began to unleash their cruelty upon our children. My mother-in-law would call our autistic daughter fat each time she saw her, even though my husband corrected her and asked her point blank not to criticize the kids like that. And for the record, our daughter is not even fat. But that, of course, is not the point. Should have done more than correct her. I mean, that should have been a red flag when all he did was correct her instead of freak out on the bitch. Don't you ever talk to my kid like that. My brother-in-law, who is in his 30s, called our daughter a retard and began picking on her speech delay at the dining room table. I had already calmly asked him not to say such disparaging remarks about her privately a couple times in the preceding weeks. See, there's your problem. When people are calling your kids retards and saying horrible things to your kids, they're testing you. They're testing you to see what they can get. And if you're going to allow somebody to speak to your children like that, well, then you're giving them a big, big green flag to come and abuse you. You're giving them the big green light. No, you don't ask correctly. So you ever speak to my fucking kid like that again, I'll tear your throat out and show it to you. That's how you handle that. I politely responded that if he needed a book on autism, I was happy to lend him one of mine, and that I'll thank him not to say such comments about my daughter like that. My father-in-law immediately jumped to his defense, saying he didn't mean it that way. I responded politely that whatever his intentions, I have asked a few times now, and I am now publicly asking for people not to sling criticisms at my kids. If they think it's funny or a joke, I'm not laughing, and I'd appreciate it if they'd stop. Now that you appreciate it, I'm telling you to stop. Naturally, it didn't stop. Of course not, because you asked them, you didn't tell them. And even if you told them, they were going to try to draw you into this fight anyway that they were trying to draw you into, because they didn't want you there. Naturally, it didn't stop as my mother-in-law continued to call our daughter fat whenever she could slip it in there, mainly because she knew it would upset me. You can imagine that such behaviors are just the tip of the iceberg, and within a year we were back on a plane to our original location, where my husband has to find a new job, and we've had to find a new home and start over again. We don't even mind though, because at least we have friends and people who treat us with respect. Our friends are aghast when they hear that a grandmother would sling insults at her own grandchildren. By Christmas time, we had been back here a few months. My loving mother-in-law sent a message to my husband that she had sent a package for the kids for Christmas. This is a first, as they typically just wire us money about 24 hours before Christmas, insisting we put their name on a present. She wrote, "Be sure to have everyone gathered around the package when it arrives so you can all open it together." Naturally, my sweet, gentle, empathetic husband wanted to believe that his mother had turned over a new leaf. I, however, knew better because she had pulled tricks in the past surrounding gifts, and I knew not to trust her. I convinced my husband that we should intercept the package before the kids see it and open it privately in our bedroom first. He reluctantly agreed, thinking I was just being paranoid. When the package arrived, it had two $20 notes in foreign currency, which were worth half of that in US dollars. And these people are loaded, by the way. And then a gift for our daughter, leaving out our son entirely, with nothing for him to open from his grandparents on Christmas. We decided not even to tell the kids about the package at all. Can you believe the cruelty it takes for a grandmother to set up her own grandchildren, to have them sad and disappointed on Christmas? My husband sent her a message about a week later thanking her for the gift, but we'd asked her in the past not to send a package in which one of our kids would be left out. Yeah, it's happened before. And as before, she never responded. She didn't even have the wherewithal to act embarrassed or offer an apology or explanation. She literally completely ignored him as though he said nothing. My husband has since been very distant, often ignoring messages from his family and avoiding contact, although he did allow a webcam chat on our children's birthday for exactly 4 minutes. So he finally sent her a message, politely but firmly confronting her on some of the stuff that had happened when we lived closer. She took nearly 2 weeks to respond, and when she did, she still never addressed the specific issues. She said instead she's upset because I blocked her on Facebook, i.e. I no longer will subject myself to her abuse and manipulations, and she can't spy on us on Facebook to spread more lies about us to her little flying monkeys. So, apparently, and not surprisingly, I am the cause of all the evil in the world because I have cut off contact with them. She refuses to answer for anything that happened, nor validate my husband's right to be upset by certain actions they pulled. This confrontation and her response happened only a couple of weeks before Mother's Day. My husband noticed on Facebook that his sister was bragging about flying to spend Mother's Day with her mommy. So he wasn't the least bit surprised when his sister then sent him a very curt message after she had been home for a day. Sunday is Mother's Day. Send Mom an email and FaceTime her. Fuck you. Clearly his mother had been shivering and quivering to his sister about his confrontation, which, I'll repeat, was very respectful and polite, as my husband is not one to be harsh to anyone. Clearly his mother sent his sister as a flying monkey to badger him into giving her due respect on Mother's Day. My husband promptly ignored his sister's command and simply sent an e-card. He shouldn't have sent anything, because these type of narcissists get off on any sort of contact with you. Any sort of contact. It doesn't matter, because she knows it fucking bothers you, it bothers him, and it has to stop. It has to stop. Time for your husband to put his big boy pants on and cut it off completely. Cut them all off completely. I don't understand anybody who would let their kids be treated like that. I don't. He's obviously the scapegoat, and they obviously have issues that he's the only one that had kids. Not the bitch of his sister obviously couldn't have any, and not the drunken younger brother. That's the best it's going to get. Honestly, the best thing that could happen to you guys is for the brother or the sister to have a kid, which I doubt will happen, because then they will forget all about you and your kids. And I've wondered that in the past. I don't even wonder that. I know it. I know if my brother Precious actually had a kid of his own, the father would never even look at my daughter again. But he won't. His mother responded with a thank you, but then gave him a guilt trip about not getting on webcam as he was commanded, I assume. But then she launched into passive aggressive shame and guilt trip, ending with, "I hope you have a lovely Mother's Day, and let her and the kids know we love them very much." Bullshit. She tried 3 separate times recently to get in touch with her. One time recently, she sent him a Facebook message saying, "Did you just text me twice? I tried to respond to you, but only got your voicemail." No, you didn't. "Honey, because we changed our number and the old number doesn't even work anymore. Also, it's pretty easy to determine where a text came from, and we most assuredly did not send her any, as our phone is voice over IP phone that is not capable of sending texts. Lying sack of shit." Well, she's old and she don't know. But if you were to call her on that, she would say, "Well, I don't know. I got it from that number. I don't know. It came in. I don't know what happened to it." And then if you say, "Show me," she'll, "I don't know what happened to it. It disappeared. It was there. It was your number. You must have done something." Any contact with these people is going to be turned against you. So why bother? Why bother? Then she tried a different tactic and rubbed in the fact that she was leaving in a few days on their annual June trip, and that it was to a different country to visit other relatives because they, like us, are aging. Normally, they would have included several long and horrible weeks at our home as one leg of their multi-week trip each year. She just wanted to rub it in that they had no intentions of visiting us this year. No tears are being shed about that whatsoever. Along with that little guilt shame tactic of reminding my husband that she's getting old, I assume that's to try to get back at him, to get him back into line before she dies. He never responded. I'm not saying that he's fully on board with being no contact, but at least he's finally willing to be low contact. Low contact's not good enough. It's not good enough for you. It's not good enough for him. And it sure as hell isn't good enough for your kids, especially the autistic one who they keep making fucking fun of. So, if your husband's watching this, and I hope he is, what kind of man lets their kids be spoken to like this? Don't give me this is your mother and this is family. What have they done to be family towards you ever other than give birth to you? Nothing. Any interaction you have with them, any type of interaction you have with them, which is trying to coddle them, keep the peace, anything other than this. This should be your last communications with them. You have abused me, my family, and my children. No more. Not only do I not want you in my life, my wife's life, my children's lives. You are not invited to my house ever, nor am I coming near any of you ever again. You are to die alone, without me, without my children. As far as I'm concerned, you have no grandchildren. So you better hope that the bitch ahead of me and the spoiled fuck behind me knocks somebody up. That's your only option. You're just going to let your wife and children be abused like this? For what? Because they got money? I got news for you. If you're hanging on for some type of inheritance from these people, you aren't getting it, son. You ain't getting it, son. So I guarantee you, you are cut out of that will, or you're going to be screwed out of it. So if that's what you're hanging on for, think again. Think again. It has been well over a decade that we've dealt with their bullshit, and they just will not stop. The hits just keep on coming because you keep engaging them. Because you haven't made it clear that they are horrible, narcissistic pieces of shit. And they all deserve each other. And you don't want them anywhere in your life, anywhere near you or your children. They are not to contact you. They are not invited into your life, period. It's time for your husband to put on his big boy pants and deal with this. The good news is that we're living a good life without them. I know it's not easy for my husband to be drifting further away from his parents because it's still hard for him to fully admit the extent of their abusiveness. I guess it's a one day at a time journey. We're getting there. It can be a process, but each time we stand up for ourselves, it gets a little easier. Hang in there, everyone. You aren't alone. Thanks, Ali, for all that you do. Me. Well, your husband's not doing enough, because the fact that he would allow people that would make fun of his children, not good enough. Low contact isn't good enough. Keeping the peace, keeping whatever is not good enough. How do you let your family say the things that they've said to your children? How do you let your family purposely hurt your children on Christmas like this? What's wrong with you? At some point, Anonymous, you have to stop giving your husband credit for being this sweet empath, and you have to wonder if he kind of likes it on some level. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. And this is your job, Anonymous, to grab him and to tell him this is not going to continue. You're the mother, okay? And you have to make it clear, I don't want these people around me, you, or my children. And if he has a problem with that, what's his decision going to be? If there's a decision between his family, between his wife and children, or these narcissistic abusers, what is he going to choose? If he even has to think about it, then you need to ask yourself some harder questions. So, thank you so much for the contribution. Thank you for the story. I appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, phone call, private video, Facebook chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video for someone else, or just contribute to the channel, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. And if you're still unsure, wait for the instructional video link to pop up at the end of this video. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ali Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.